What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today is day 3 of the 10 Days of Pumpkin here on the channel. And the beer I'm reviewing today comes from the Griffin Claw Brewing Company, and they're out of Birmingham, Michigan. And this is their BIP, which is also known as Bourbon Imperial Screamin Pumpkin, and this is the 2019 vintage. So this is an Imperial Pumpkin Ale that is brewed with roasted pumpkins, cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, and ginger, and then thrown into bourbon barrels for 10 months. Comes in at 9% alcohol by volume, 13 IBUs in the time of review. This can is just under 7 weeks old. I want to give a huge thanks and shout out to a good friend of mine and viewer of the channel, Jeff, aka No Jinx, for hooking me up with this one. Jeff actually came to the Western New York area, hung out at the Other Half and Mortalis Brewing Company, and he brought me a whole bunch of beers, and this was one of the ones he gave me. And I was like, I'm totally going to throw it into the 10 Days of Pumpkin because I've had the base of this one before, just their regular Screamin Pumpkin, about 4 or 5 years ago, and it was like pumpkin pie filling in a glass. I really did enjoy the base of this one. So they imperialized it, and then they threw it in bourbon barrels. Sign me up. So yeah, really interested to get into this one. I can't wait. Now the can has a dent on it where I'm going to pour, so if this spills everywhere, it's on the can, not me. Probably still on me a little bit. This has been out of the fridge for almost an hour. I wanted to kind of let it warm up, but all right, so I'm not spilling it everywhere. That's at least good. It is spilling a little bit though because of the dent. Throw it over here like this. And yeah, that looks really nice. That has this really deep, like copper, burnt orange color. Looks really nice, pretty turbid and hazy in there. Has about a finger, a little bit less than a finger of this really khaki colored looking head. Yeah, it looks nice. Looks like a pumpkin beer. Looks like a bigger pumpkin beer too. Let's get a nose. Ooh, definitely some nice bourbon in this one. And I've already mentioned this once in the first 2 days. I think it was in the Shipyard review on day 1 for Pumpkinhead Ale. Usually I can't really smell pumpkin, and I don't think a lot of people can. Everyone's all that smells like pumpkin, unless you're roasting them or the seeds, the roasted pumpkin seeds as well, or toasted pumpkin seeds. Most time, just pumpkin just has like a generic, just like earthiness, at least in my opinion. And in this one, because they roast the pumpkins, I definitely get pumpkin in here. Like I'm smelling an earthiness, a little bit of like a roasted character to it. Yeah, pumpkin's definitely in there. They're using, like I said, cinnamon. They're using cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, and ginger. Ginger's coming through in here. A little bit of that nutmeg, not much cinnamon or allspice. Ooh, that ginger is pretty big, actually. And then underneath it, there is this really just like caramelized brown sugar kind of vibe to it, sweeter caramel toffee. And then this is kind of blanketed by a soft bourbon character. Very soft. 10 months in the barrel. This is not on the nose super intense bourbon or like even oaky characteristics. But man, it smells pretty good. So let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. And thanks again, Jeff. That's pretty nice. I like that. 9%, I kind of taste the booze a little bit, which is fine. Body on this one is a bit thin at 9%. This drinks more like a 7.5%, 8%, so a little bit thin on the body. The mouthfeel, while somewhat effervescent and like spritzy and crisp, has a soft, smooth character as well. In addition, body and mouthfeel are solid. The taste, kind of all over the place for me, but I enjoy it. I'm getting a lot of ginger in the taste, honestly. There's a lot of sweeter characteristics to the underlying base of this one. Caramel toffee, brown sugar, sweeter dark sugars, and then passed through the palate. Ginger is very noticeable, nutmeg as well, and then halfway through the palate, like the bourbon comes in. There's an oaky tannin like presence to it, but there's also like straight on bourbon. I get the spirit too. Finish is semi-dry from probably both the alcohol and the spice component, but it does have a residual sweetness. Is kind of you know it's going to be a sweeter beer. It's 9%. It's in bourbon barrels. It's a pumpkin ale. You kind of just expect it to be sweeter, and it is. But it has a decent balance on the finish. It's pretty good. I enjoy this one. I do think, though, looking back, do I like the base more than this one? I don't know. That was 4 or 5 years ago. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 for the base. And I think what I'm drinking now, probably in that same realm. I think I want to see a little bit more of that spice component for me, a little bit more cinnamon and allspice. And I would like to see a little bit more of a bourbon oomph overall. Considering this has been in the barrels for 10 months, I do get bourbon, but it's not overwhelming to my palate. It's not even like, it's not all that bold either. It's noticeable, but I think I'd like a little bit more. Now that I'm talking a little bit, I'm getting like a little residual vanilla vibe to this one as well. Probably from the barrels. It's pretty easy to drink though at 9%. Like I said, it has a little bit of a booziness to it, but I wouldn't say it's 9%. I'd probably guess like 8 if I was doing it blind. Overall though, as far as like barrel-aged pumpkin beers go, this is a pretty good one and I enjoy it. So Bourbon Imperial Screamin Pumpkin, also known as BIP, the 2019 vintage from Griffin Claw. I'm going to give that a low 4 out of 5. I'm going to go 3.95 out of 5. I think it's good. I enjoy it. I think I like the base just as much as this is different. Obviously no bourbon. It's not 9%. But I think that one was more like pumpkin pie filling in a glass, and this one's more like nuances of a pumpkin beer, nuances of a barrel. It's like, I think it's pretty cohesive and decently well balanced. I just don't think that the base pumpkin ale is coming to the forefront as much as I would like. But then I just said that the bourbon wasn't big. I don't know. I guess for me, I just want a little bit more intensity to the flavors overall. For me, it's just one of those things where I like what's in here. And to be honest with you, I think the ginger is a little too big for me personally. I don't mind ginger, but I don't want it to be the predominant note when there's four spices in this one and bourbon barrel age and it's a 9% Imperial Pumpkin Ale. I'd like to see the ginger for me personally dial back a little bit. Again, everybody's different. Somebody might drink this one and be like, oh, cinnamon's, the prevailing note and I can't get over that. And I'm barely getting any cinnamon, but we're all different. That's how it works. But I think a 3.95 out of 5 for Bourbon Imperial Screamin Pumpkin from Griffin Claw is a good rating, and I do enjoy it. And thank you very much, Jeff, for hooking me up with this one. It's a lot of fun to do. Which brings me to price and availability. Jeff, you're going to have to chime in here. I'd imagine probably a can of this is in the $4 to $5 range, but we'll see what Jeff says. And availability, I know Griffin Claw gets distribution throughout Michigan, so if you're in Michigan, you should be able to see this one. Might get into like Ohio, I have no idea, but for the most part, they're in Michigan. But yeah, outside of that, I enjoyed it. I don't think this is like an amazing beer, but I do think it's a pretty good one. So appreciate oh yeah, I did mention the 9% and the body and everything. The one thing I would say about this one though, is that this could be a little bit deceptive drinking on it. It's boozy, but I don't think a lot of people would realize it is 9% boozy, but who knows? I might be in the minority there too. Anyway, appreciate everybody stopping by. Thanks again to you, Jeff, for hooking me up with this one. And come back tomorrow for day 4, where I'll be doing Voodoo Ranger Atomic Pumpkin from New Belgium. I'm really looking forward to getting into that one because I want to try for a couple years, and tomorrow is the day. So take it easy. To the next one. Cheers.